City podcast.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Another edition of Keys to the City. I'm your host, Trevor Keys, alongside Ted Keys and the Joseph Aguirre, and a wild, eventful MLB trade deadline. Let's be honest, guys. This could be the craziest trade deadline of all time. The names, the teams that have been engaging in all of these trade discussions / reports all officially became true today. And we still got currently 44 minutes left of the MLB trade deadline 2022. Oh boy, if it stays the way it is, we're going to remember this for a long time. I'm going to give you a quick stat, guys, of the past 6 years for teams, how big and impactful the trade deadline is. So 2015, the Kansas City Royals went out and got Johnny Cueto and Ben Zobrist. They ended up winning a World Series. 2016, the Chicago Cubs went out and got a guy named Aroldis Chapman. They won a World Series. 2017, the Astros went to go get Justin Verlander. They won. The Red Sox, Nathan Eovaldi. The Nats, we'll be talking about the Washington Nationals. This is 3 years ago, too. Got Daniel Hudson delivered for them. 2020 was the Dodgers. They were the Dodgers. Then last year, the Braves. Eddie Rosario won NLCS MVP. Jorge Soler won the World Series MVP, Jock Peterson and Adam Duvall. My point being is that the trade deadline for the past 6 to 7 years, well, whoever wins the trade deadline usually is winning a championship. And I guess we got to start with no bigger news than today, guys. Over the past 48 hours, the San Diego Padres have become the Los Angeles Rams and going all in, trading their draft picks, trading their farm for some big-time talent. None bigger than Juan Soto and Josh Hader. And guess what? We can even add in Josh Bell, who, if anybody hasn't seen, Josh Bell is having a very, very solid season. 14 home runs, 79 RBIs, batting 300. Guys, with these additions, and we'll talk about the rest of the other teams, the contenders, legitimate contenders that could be winning a World Series this year. I'm going to start with you, Ted. With these moves, especially the Juan Soto trade. I know they traded the farm, but hey, guess what? Sometimes you go all in. Are they now the favorite in the NL, or do you still see the Mets or the Dodgers, or maybe even the champs, the Atlanta Braves, as still the favorite in the NL?
The sad thing is I was just running through their starting pitching just to make sure my.
Speaking of, that pitching staff, I'm glad you brought it up. So their pitching staff, I don't know if you guys know, but it starts off with Joe Musgrove, Yu Darvish, Sean Manaea, Blake Snell, and Mike Clevenger. I don't know about you guys, but that's a pretty solid-ass rotation. And on top of it, you just got probably the best closer, one of the best closers in all of baseball to go to that bullpen. So let me, if you guys think differently, chime in. Joe, what do you think? I'll let Joe, because Ted looks like he's taking care of something.
No, I'm not taking.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Joe.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I can get aggravated and start yelling at him.
I definitely think that this puts them in prime position to make a move on the Dodgers, because at last I checked, what were they, like 10 games back?
Currently, they're 12 games back.
12 games back. I was going to say, they're way back. So the division is out of reach. So you're fighting for a wild card. And look, adding the best young left-handed hitter of his generation, that's going to help. And Hader's an upgrade for this team at closer. And they got rid of a lot of good young players in this deal. You know, some guys who I would argue have a lot of potential. What's his face? Lamet, Danielson Lamet.
Oh yes, he got part of the. He was
again right. One of these guys who maybe a change of scenery helps uncork something. There's been a lot of expectation on that guy. Maybe he goes to and takes off. But
here's
This
I
is
wanted
great.
to say something to you, Joe.
If you're a Padres fan, bro, this is the most happy you've been since 1998. This is it.
Yeah,
this is it.
You're right.
This is a team in the last decade that's traded away everybody. Adrian Gonzalez, a Mexican-American from San Diego. Mm-hmm. Every little kid's favorite player.
At the time, yeah.
They moved him. The Padres have been so terrible to see what this team has done. Preller's such a good GM, dude. And I don't know how he convinced this ownership to start ponying up. But boy, if you spend some money and you're willing to trade prospects that may never amount to anything.
I wanted to say that too, is that the thing why I respect what the Padres are doing, because you have to also play against the Los Angeles Dodgers. And if anything we know, guys, the Los Angeles Dodgers have been the cream of the crop of the NL. They're not going anywhere, the LA Dodgers. They still have Mookie Betts for the next 10 years. They have all this talent, this plethora of talent. They're not going anywhere. So the San Diego Padres have to do something. It's kind of like the AFC West. The Chiefs aren't going to be going anywhere because they have a guy in Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid for who knows how much longer, but they're the cream of the crop of the AFC. You have to go make moves like the Denver Broncos did, like the Las Vegas Raiders did, and like the Los Angeles Chargers. That's what the San Diego Padres just did today. I know, and it kind of became like more clear by the day that we talked about it, Ted, last week. It was like, well, Soto's either going to go to the Cardinals or the Padres. The Cardinals kind of backed off, and the Padres, if we've seen anything for the past few years, they got Manny Machado and they got Fernando Tatis Jr. for the next 8 to 10 years. You're going to sign Juan Soto too. There's your big three for a long, long time, ladies and gentlemen. You have to keep up with the LA Dodgers. And you know what? Good for San Diego going all in because, yes, I know they're 12 games back in the standings, but this is a team right now, guys. Good luck facing this lineup in the postseason, Ted.
Well, when they're healthy, and that's the biggest thing. I mean, you're talking about you had Josh Bell in that. He's going to have protection. He's been around 300, so you're going to have protection with Tatis and Machado. And we were talking about other guys, Profar, who's got 23 home runs. You've got people on this team that can hit. Cronenworth, who plays second base. They just traded for Brandon Drury, who's having his best statistical offensive season. And Yankee fans should remember that name. That's a guy that never had an opportunity. Miguel Lindor stole his,
Oh, don't say that. Joe's going to get mad if you start talking about Miguel Lindor.
So you look at this team, right? This is, I think, with this trade, this is not about winning the division, right? Because they're not going to win the division. Just like if the Blue Jays or the Red Sox or some of these, they're not catching the Yankees, they're not catching the Dodgers in their divisional thing. This is about getting the wild card because I was pulling up the wild card stats. They're 4.5 games out of second. Atlanta, of course, leads. Philly's right behind them. Probably St. Louis will catch Philly. Who knows? But it's about winning a championship. And this is the reason why you make these moves. This is something we always get in these arguments about these Yankee players, about the Volpes and, oh, my God, the outfielder.
Perez, Dominguez, just guys like
whatever.
that.
It doesn't matter. If you're a Yankee fan, you know what I'm talking about. All these stellar stars. But if they were so good, why are they not in on the professional team? Why are we holding them back? If they're this is the only sport that I can't understand where if they're that good, we don't hold them back. We don't have them as, hey, you know what? We drafted the quarterback, but we're going to sit him on the bench for 2 or 3 years because if he's good enough, play him. All right. And Joe makes a great point. If one of these guys for the Nationals turns out to a Cy Young, that's great. But it could be for another 3 to 5 years. And by then, the Padres hope to have at least one, hopefully 2 World Series rings under their belt. Yeah. So this is about winning a championship. And if this team does not get to, I'd say minimum the World Series.
Wow. So you think even if they got to the NLCS,
I don't pick them as my front runner. I told you before the season, I had the Yankees and Dodgers in the World Series. I had the Mets losing in 7 to the Dodgers. All right. I thought all the moves that the Mets made in the offseason were going to have a drastic change. And I told you, and then we talked about it last week, I thought the hiring of Buck Showalter would kind of would cap this team off. They look like they genuinely have fun. They enjoy Buck. If you watch those games after game, they mess with Buck. They pull his shirt out. They kind of like
I'm a huge fan of Buck Showalter.
It's gelling. All right. And they didn't really make any big pieces, but if DeGrom can come back healthy and stay healthy with that rotation in the lineup that they have, they were the best team in the NL all season. What this does is put the Padres in that conversation that I told you 3 weeks ago. I said there was only 5 teams that are going to win the World Series. I said it's 2 in the AL and 3 in the NL. The Padres have now entered that discussion and now will be in this continuous discussion of World Series champion or bust for at least the next 3 to 5 years. Because like you said, Joe, how can you think of a better threesome or 3 guys of young player? I mean, Tatis is what, 21, 22. This kid's 23. Machado's what, 27, 28, whatever. He's still prime for another 5 years. I mean, you're talking about 3 elite top talent that you could say at their best, there's no one better at their positions than those 3 guys on that team.
How about the funny thing is, guys? Okay, so Machado's 30 right now. That's fine.
That's prime. That's prime.
Thinking about this. A possible NL wild card game is going to be, realistically, it's going to be either the Braves or the Padres, or it's going to be the Mets or Padres.
Well, I don't know how that matches up, because only the 2 teams get the bye. So it would be Milwaukee would have to play. The Mets and Dodgers would get the bye.
Realistically, it's going to come down to a Padres versus Braves or Mets, and it's unfortunate that one of those 2 teams are going to be going home early, because
that's going to make it great for a divisional series.
That's what I'm not saying it like that. I'm just saying in the standpoint of the Braves also making a lot of moves today. The Mets, I know the Mets didn't make any big splashes, but they do get a guy named Jacob deGrom that's coming back and pitching tonight. And we've talked about it. We've talked about it over years. Anytime I know that, well, they don't make any big moves. The Yankees, like we said last year, some have had injuries in the past. You get a guy that's already a professional and a consistent like Jacob deGrom and has been at the peak of this game. That's just as good as trading for one of these pieces. I mean, you're getting the best pitcher back on the market. I know Luis Castillo, from a standpoint of trading, was the best pitcher on the market, but you're getting Jacob deGrom back, who hasn't pitched since last year. Now, we don't know if he's going to be 100% right off the bat. We're going to see. And he gets to play the Nationals. I guess that's easy that could be a nice W, but still, it's going to be fascinating to see how this whole postseason. I'm going to go right into it, guys, because yes, that was the major trade today, but there's just a bunch of teams, and all the teams that have made the moves, Joe.
Seattle just made a move.
The Houston Astros, the St. Louis Cardinals, the Atlanta Braves, the Seattle Mariners made another big move, getting Luis Castillo. The Yankees going all in and going to get bullpen help, adding Benintendi last week, and then going to get a guy in Frankie Montez. I know his record doesn't look good, but the Oakland Athletics are terrible this year. He's got 3.18 ERA. And that's the other thing. All these teams that have made moves today, guys, are legitimate contenders to win a championship, or fighting for a wild card, or going to win a division title. So you're seeing all these moves. Are we looking within the next couple months of September, October, as possibly the best postseason ever, just because of what happened in the past week of baseball, Joe?
Well, listen, Juan Soto is going to be in the postseason this year.
Yeah.
That instantly makes the postseason better. Manny Machado is going to be there. Aaron Judge is going to be there. Yeah, I mean, listen, baseball is, when you look at the teams that are all in position to be in the postseason, it's a lot of those young guys. A couple years ago when they didn't let the kids play. I mean, it's those guys, and those guys who become the superstars of this league.
Yep.
Joe,
there's when you again
that, Joe, whenever you
I'm a little down on the Mets because I still think the Mets, and again, there's still a little bit of time here.
Half hour left currently.
Would have made a bigger splash with, I just think, one more bat. A Contreras, Teddy, to me, maybe makes the Mets the favorite.
Yeah, well, at least adding his bat to that lineup. I mean, listen, the lineup is good. It's not great. It's definitely up there. I don't know how we would, we're not in a rating system right now. We're not going to rank, okay, is the Padres, when they're healthy, how's their lineup compared to the Dodgers, the Braves, and the Mets? But it's there. Their pitching staff is the one to be the one that's going to carry them to the World Series, like it did, 8, 10, whatever. I don't even know how long it was ago when they had that big 3. And I told you before, and I was saying before, the Mets are 55-5. I heard the stat on the radio on the way home. They were 55-5 when they score at least 4 runs in a game. So now, so they got to score 4 runs though, because I know they have more than 5 losses. So that's the thing that you were just saying. Add another significant bat, a guy like Wilson Contreras. I'm kind of I was kind of against it, but now I understand where you're coming from. It's like, this is an ownership that's kind of going all in. Unless they're really asking for a ransom of everything. If you can get away with not giving up one of your 2 top prospects or 3, I mean, who cares, right? You'll go buy a free agent in the offseason anyway, so who cares? So go get a guy like Wilson Contreras, unless there's something where like Buck's like, hey, I like what I want. I just need like what the Yankees used to do where they would get like Tim Raines and Chili Davis and such, where it wasn't a big move. Now, Trev, I don't know I don't remember, but I don't know if this is the biggest trade deadline, maybe because we're living in the moment, but moves that Arizona Diamondbacks when they brought Randy Johnson in, that might have been more significant, or when a couple years ago when the Astros made a move for Verlander or Cole. Those are significant moves, and they all end up winning the World Series those years. I mean, there's been some.
Well, I'm saying it from a standpoint of the amount of teams. Maybe in the past
the
there's
Soto
been.
move. Listen, the Soto move in
I know,
itself,
but maybe in the standpoint in the past. Hold on, in the past like 10 years, maybe there has been, but in the sense of, to me, why I'm saying this could be the craziest and recent memory of trade deadlines is the teams that are making the moves. There's no teams like, you'll get the little on the side trades that are not going to have any impact for a team. But when you see 6 to 7 to 8 of the top 10 teams in baseball making huge splashes, not just like, oh, we're just going to go give me one of your worst players or something. No, these are teams that are going out, trading prospects, trading their farm system to go get big, high-priced players. The Mariners going all in for Luis Castillo. I mean, that's a big deal for a team.
Seattle just traded for Jake Lamb, who's an outfielder
from the Diamondbacks.
From the Dodgers.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to say one other thing, not to cut you off, but just a quick thing. The importance of winning now, and this goes to the argument that Joe was making, the significance of winning the NL East is you avoid the Padres in the first round.
That's what I'm saying.
If you're the wild card in the NL East, you will play at least based on what they were just reporting, that's how the matchup would be, and then it would be the Central, which looks like against the other wild card team. So,
but Joe, that's what, to answer your question,
I'm interested going forward.
To feed it off to Joe, and that's why I said that why I think this is still and could be the best postseason ever. And coming in with this trade deadline is because even the Twins, a team that's leading the AL Central right now, went out and got Tyler Mahle. Then they go get Jorge Lopez, adding to that team that's already a very, very great team. We know how good the Minnesota Twins are. The St. Louis Cardinals going to add Jose Quintana. The Houston Astros, who have been always great, Will Smith, Christian Vasquez, and they go get a guy in Trey Mancini who can be another. I mean, you get Trey Mancini and you get Jordan Alvarez as your DH. I mean, these are all teams, the Mariners, trying to finally get to the postseason since 2001. These are all teams that are going to be right at the end of either being in a wild card, winning a division title, or hell, even getting to an AL or NLCS or even a World Series. The only team, Joe, that we're sitting here saying, what are they doing, is the Boston Red Sox.
Here's another thing, Chuck.
What are the Boston Red Sox?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. This could be a significant move, and Joe would know better. The Marlins starter, Pablo Lopez, the Dodgers are trying to make a big move for him. It might come down to the final minutes. There's 35. That was reported 5 minutes ago.
There's a lot of people that say Pablo Lopez is the best arm available, and not a lot of people feel that way.
And then I guess the Jays and Phillies are going for Syndergaard. Jays and Phillies right now are going for Syndergaard. It's down to those two teams.
I'll ask you, Ted. Hold on.
I'm just reporting the updates.
I know. Well, thank you. Put in the comment section. Give
that's
us the comments.
News, though.
That
is big news.
Well,
right
John
there.
Heyman just reported Yankees have been talking to Marlins. 10 seconds ago. If the prospects fits, the Yankees are going to try to go get Pablo Lopez from the Marlins.
Well, the Marlins did come out last week and say everybody was for sale other than oh my God, what's his name?
Sandy Alcantara.
Thank you.
Is that the right man?
Who's been
I've been on
lights
this dude for like 4 years. He's been on my fantasy team.
He's been lights out this year.
And guess what? Not on my team this year because I couldn't keep him again.
Joe, you know how that works.
But I develop him just enough to give him to someone else.
What do you?
I'm like the Pittsburgh Pirates at my fantasy league.
What do you think? To you, if you had to give me a team or two, who do you think is the biggest winners? Because that's a tougher. Other than the Padres, is there another team? Do you think? Because there's a lot of teams on this list that I'm looking at.
I think the Seattle Mariners are a little delusional, but I love what they did. I don't think that they're good enough, and I think everyone else is too good. I think pitching wise, everyone else is too good for them. I really do. I love that they went all in, dude. Castillo's great, but he's the best starter that they have.
Mm-hmm. The the guy last night, he's not a postseason pitcher. Oh my God.
He pitches tomorrow against Cole.
Well, and we'll see what happens. That'll be a great matchup. But I think I'm thrilled that Seattle's going all in. Just like, again, I think San Diego's the easy one. But just watching San Diego the last couple of years, I'm like, come on, do it. Like, just do it. Why not?
You're right there.
My hair is soaking wet. I was just in the pool. Totally not dry at all.
So, guys, we're at the point.
You're soaking wet. I'm sweating. Trev, I got an answer for you on this one. And this is the sucky one about this. It's the Astros. Getting a guy like Trey Mancini, getting a guy like Christian Vasquez, going to trade for a guy in the bullpen when Will Smith. We already know that lineup is dangerous. Trey Mancini is going to now have that short porch in the Astros Stadium. I forget what they call it over there. Unlike where Baltimore, they decided, yes, let's help our team out by backing the fence up and creating a 30-foot wall. No, that's unbelievable. You look at the Astros, they have really put themselves front and center. We know what they are, and I talk about them because it's such a nemesis for us as Yankee fans that I don't fear anyone else in the AL but them. I don't fear the Red Sox. I don't fear the Blue Jays. I don't fear the Twins.
Obviously.
I only fear the Astros because
we can't beat them.
Can't beat them.
We can't beat them. We can't play with them. Can't play with them.
And the times we have beat them,
Joe's getting annoyed. I just said can't beat them. Joe.
The times we have beat them are walk-offs. So, we talk about all these teams getting better, but here's the thing. If I can't beat the Astros, I don't have to worry about any team in the NL because I won't be in the World Series again. So for me, it's beating the Astros. Sorry, go ahead.
About the Astros. We just hit the 21-minute mark. We haven't talked about the Yanks. I think we have to talk about, have they significantly improved from where they were a week ago, Joe? And how do you feel about this trade deadline as a New York Yankee fan?
Going into this deadline, here's what I wanted. Frankie Montas.
You wanted him over Castillo?
Oh, I did. Yeah. He's another guy. He's been on my fantasy team for years, and I'm like, this kid's going to be so good. And also not on my team this year. Because
Castillo was going to be too steep of a price to trade for?
To be honest, and again, I know everybody just saw Castillo do it the other night. I've literally been tracking Montas for years, and he's a guy who I assumed would one day become a Yankee, and I'm glad it's when he's 26 and not 36.
Hey, can I interrupt for 1 second?
That's generally how it happens.
Trev, I got to ask you a question.
Have
you seen this quote, Joe, on the New York porch about what Cashman said about Joey Gallo?
What?
I told Joey I would send him to a low-stress environment, and I know LA clears out after the 5th inning. The Yankees GM said, best of luck to him. I'm rooting for Joey.
Oh, wow. He's not wrong.
No, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
I'm sorry. I just figured I'd get a reaction.
He's not wrong.
The last decade, Dodger fans have been attentive, and they've been showing up. Okay? It only cost the Dodgers about $290 million a year to put a payroll out there that they'll come and see. Right? Like, that's the reason the Dodgers have to constantly put the star power out there, because otherwise the people in LA ain't going to show up for that. They're just not.
So my big winners, obviously, were the Padres. I said the Astros, too. And then I said the Yankees from a standpoint of, you didn't have to give up Dominguez. You didn't have to give up Peraza. You didn't have to give up Volpe. But we don't know if there's going to be any breaking news within the next 21 minutes.
Well, Syndergaard just got traded to the Phillies. That was 1 minute ago.
Another
breaking news. Kevin Durant has now been
traded to the Phillies last year.
I don't know. No, he
was on the Mets and then the Angels.
He's going MIA. Talk about a guy that has.
Who's the other guy? Wheeler. Was Wheeler on the Phillies?
Wheeler was on the Phillies.
So he's back with Wheeler. Okay. It was one of those long-haired weirdo Met pitchers.
Kevin Durant has now been traded to the San Diego Padres. The sources report from
his next chapter. His next chapter in life is going. I mean, San Diego, hell.
But it looks like. Hey, I'll tell you one thing. It looks like, from what I'm reading, multiple reports that the Yankees are making a hard push. Don't know if they're going to get Lopez. I think that would definitely, because I think the Yankees look at their starting pitch and go, I don't know if it's good enough. I like after
solid, but it's not good enough.
Because Severino, I don't know if you saw last night, Joe. They put him on the 60-day IL. So now he can't pitch till at least September. So that means he's
more
likely
mid-September, which if you remember last year, mid-September, he got about 3 starts in and, was a bullpen arm at that point.
Which is fine because I have no problem. I have no problem.
Yeah, listen, I'll take him in the pen, but someone's got to take his place in the rotation. Montas pencils right in. You got to be concerned about Nestor and the innings limit. I know Tyone's a question mark. Montgomery hasn't been great. To get someone like Pablo Lopez to slot in there, Domingo Germán, I think he's going to work out long-term, whether it be in the rotation or in the bullpen. The Yankees needed 2 bullpen arms. I, for one, think Lou Trevino is going to be a great pickup. I think he's been outstanding. Not this year, last year, not the year before that. So he's in every other, but I just wonder if being in a winning environment, being in New York, coming over with Frankie Montas, and maybe that doesn't light a fire, and you can get some meaningful innings from him, especially the way Clay Holmes has pitched lately. Yep. It'd be nice if you had another option of another guy that could close. Chapman's got 3 straight scoreless pitch outings. He's looked pretty good of late.
Last night was another
4? Here we go. So,
yep.
Look, everything's sort of coming together. Giancarlo Stanton is already getting ready for some baseball activities. He'll be back pretty quick, so you didn't lose him for a significant amount of time. Listen, you got Joey Gallo out of there. You replaced him with Benintendi. Again, what you did with the pitching is what you needed to do. The Yankees are as good as they need to be to win a World Series. I'm not saying they will, but there was some deficiencies. They figured out what those were. They addressed them. They're a better team today than they were yesterday.
I 100% agree with you. I feel like the Yankees were in desperate need to bolster the bullpen. They did that with Trevino and Efros, I should say, Cubs, who's, I don't know if anybody's seen. Whew, they got a nasty side.
Here's the thing. I think what the move for Lopez says to me as a Yankee fan is there's a possibility Severino doesn't come back at all this season. I think that's what tells me if you're willing to go get another guy like that. Because if not, you would say, where does he fit in the rotation? You have all these pitchers.
Add him to the bullpen.
Severino. No, you don't put Lopez in the bullpen.
No. I was talking about Severino.
But you still got bullpen guys. You just made moves for bullpen guys.
You can never have enough bullpen guys, my man.
But here's the thing. When the roster comes down to 25, that becomes significant.
Yeah, you want want more bullpen guys.
Montas is signed through next season, too.
Yes.
So, again, a nice trade where definitely addressing the right now, but he's in the rotation next season, assuming Severino's back and healthy. If they have Lopez, now you're talking about Tyone, Montgomery, and Nestor fighting for the 5th spot in that rotation for next year. Yep. That's a little different situation and one you got to feel good about.
I don't know about you guys, but this postseason, whoever is coming out of the AL or NL or who's going to be in that bracket, this is looking like it's going to shape up to be something legendary. I just want to get one more final thing in with you guys. Trade deadline is about to pass right now. After all of the moves, give me your top 5 teams currently in baseball. Joe, I'll start with you.
Well, I'm going to say it's the New York Yankees, number 1. Again, I think they addressed everything they needed to. I think number 2 is the Houston Astros. I think number 3 is the New York Mets. I think number 4 is the Houston Astros.
No, you already said the Astros were 2 you had.
Sorry, the number 4 is the Dodgers. Number 5 is the Padres.
Ted?
No, I'm sorry. I'm just reading some tweets. It was just things like they were saying. Imagine
did you hear?
Yankees flipped one of their yes. Winners. Listen, the best team is the Yankees.
It's literally like dealing with the 5-year-old.
No, here's the thing.
Ted, here's the toy.
But Trevor,
here's the thing. Trevor, if you wanted to keep the show,
he's listening.
He's listening.
He is
now.
listening. You can say he's like but like my children do that sometimes. Like, I'm like, you're not listening, and then they like recite exactly what I said to him. Like, all right, you were. You didn't respond fast enough.
You know what the Joe? You know what the problem was?
Here's the thing: if you were a good host, you would have just let me continue to roll on. Then I would have said, after that fact, we'll come back to the mess. No, the Yankees are still my number 1 team, and that's a biased answer because I'm a Yankee fan. I'm sorry. If I wasn't a Yankee fan, I'd put the Astros at number 1.
Okay.
Right?
Even despite the moves the Yankees have made in the last 3 days, you still think, honestly, but Yankee bias aside, do you think Houston's a better team than the Yankees? And again, don't just base it on the last 2 games that they played.
I think they can be, but what I've seen this year is the Astro team looks better than the Yankees. And maybe they just played better in those 7 games, but that's what my eyes tell me in 7 games. You know what I mean? If a team beats you up all season long, and then, but I'd still take the Yankees as a Yankee fan. Houston's right there. I still like the Mets. if DeGrom is healthy. And I'll put them 3 with the Dodgers 4, the Braves 5th, and the Padres 6. That's how I would rank my top 6. I know you probably asked for 5, but that's where I'm going with it because those are my 6 teams that only matter. I don't care about anyone else because as much as these moves are nice and they're cute, they're not going to beat the Astros. They're not going to beat the Yankees unless something dramatic happens. And it happens, but it's not going to happen this year. And the NL, those teams are so dominant. And I think, like, even you could say, the Cardinals are right there. I think for the Cardinals to get the World Series, they would have to beat probably 1 or 2 of the NL East teams and then the other NL West. I think it would be too much of a hard road for them to get through. So I like those 6 teams. That's my ranking. I'll live with it.
Yeah, I would still go with the Yanks 1, first team to 70 wins. Number 2, I would go with the Astros. Number 3, I'm still going to go with the Dodgers. I mean, when that team is healthy, they're going to be a tough out to beat 4 times. I'm going to go with the Mets slightly over the Padres, but with that lineup, when you get Fernando Tatis Jr. and you're going to have Fernando Tatis Jr., then you're going to have Cronenworth, you're going to have Soto, Voit actually got traded to Joe too. He was part of that deal. He's going to the Nationals. And then you get Soto, Machado, they got Profar, they got Grisham. They have talent all around. I know we're just literally looking at those 3 guys, but Jay Cronenworth was an all-star too this year. They got the starting 5 rotation of guys that to some would be number 2s, number 3s, or hell, even number 1s on other pitching staffs. Those are my top 5 teams. Between 4 and 5 and 6, it's right there because the Braves are right there. But like Ted said, those to us are right now tier 1. And when I mean tier 1, those are title contenders. Then you got probably the Twins, you got the Cardinals, and that second tier or so, Red Sox, Blue Jays. But to us, we have 6 teams right now that have a legitimate shot to win the 2022-2023 World Series. And if anything that has been said, whoever wins the trade deadline ultimately is going to win a World Series from what we've seen in the past. One of the craziest trade deadlines we've ever seen in recent memory. It's still got 13 minutes left. We don't know what's going to happen in those. Will the Yankees, will the Dodgers make another move and add to the pitching rotation? A lot could still happen in the next 10 minutes. It's been one of the wildest that I've ever seen. Juan Soto is officially a San Diego Padres. I can't believe he got traded. To just think 4 years ago, these guys, the Nationals had Bryce Harper, Anthony Rendon, Steven Strasburg, Max Scherzer, Trey Turner, and Juan Soto. All are gone with the exception of Steven Strasburg's been injured, so he's pretty much gone too. Unbelievable how a Nationals team was so good has become so bad so fast. Well, you can check out more Keys to the City episodes at clovercrestmedia.com and on many more podcasts and iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and Facebook. Check us out. Subscribe, comment, like, and share. We'll be back at the end of the week to start talking Boys of Fall. The training camp sessions are going. We are in August, ladies and gentlemen, and that can only mean one thing. For the next 5 months, to all the ladies out there, the men are going to be enjoying Sundays and getting ready for some football. So sorry, but not sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, we are Keys to the City. We are out.
You are now in tune to the Keys to the City podcast.